Dear students, our topic will be continued polymer science. Today's topic of polymer science is subtopic is ultracentrifugation. All the existing method for the molecular weight determination of polymer, the technique based on ultracentrifugation is perhaps of polymer. The techniques based on ultracentrifugation is perhaps the most complex. Uses of the centrifugal force of separate suspended particles from the liquid is well known. Old time housewives, for instance, separated butter from curd in their kitchen laboratory. This method is centrifugation by churning, which was nothing but a curd from the centrifugation. A sophisticated version of this is found in large milk boating plants where huge quantities of milk are centrifuged to separate the butter from it. Polymer molecules in solution, when subjected to a high centrifugal force, exhibit similar behavior and settle down. The sedimentation rate of the polymer molecules sitting down under the influence of constant centrifugal forces is related to their molecular weight. Making use of this particle, two different methods are adopted to determine the molecular weight of a polymer. There are the sedimentation velocity and the sedimentation equilibrium method. These methods of the ultracentrifugation. First method is the sedimentation velocity method. The earth gravitational force makes any particle in suspension settle down. Okay, because gravity acceleration. Macromolecule in a polymer solution are also affected by gravity in smaller way. However, the majority of the polymer forms stable homogeneous solution, and the polymer molecules present in them do not settle down. This is because of the counterbalancing diffusion effect, which always tends to keep the macromolecule dispersal all over the solution. This opposing effect is due to the first random movement of the solute molecule, which possesses a fairly good amount of kinetic energy at ordinary temperatures. If we can increase the gravitational force acting on macromolecules by any means, the latter can be made to sediment. This precisely what is done in ultracentrifugation. The sedimentation velocity of the polymer molecules depend on the molecular weight. In the sedimentation velocity method of the solution is subjected to very high gravitational field. This process is effected by an ultracentrifuge which can provide spins as high as 65,000 revolution per minute. Due to the high centrifugal force, the polymer molecule will start sedimenting by applying Stokes law. It is possible to correlate the sedimentation coefficient function derived from the sedimentation velocity with molecular weight m bar by the following mathematical expression. This is the mathematical expression Hooke's Stokes law. M bar is equals to S 0 RT upon d0 1 minus rho v bar, where s0 and d0 are the sedimentation and diffusion constants respectively, obtained by the extrapolating sedimentation coefficient S and diffusion coefficient D. S is the sedimentation coefficient and the diffusion coefficient denoted by capital D. At different concentrations to zero concentration, V bar is the specific volume of the polymer in solution and rho is the density of the solution. Department of d0 determination d0, d like as the diffusion coefficient and s is the sedimentation coefficient will be dealt with later in this section. Above equation which enable to evaluate the molecule weight by ultracentrifugation is known as Seeberg equation. This equation is known as Seeberg equation. Swedberg equation. In actual experiment, a homogeneous solution of a known concentration is taken and subjected to ultracentrifugation, as if sedimentation commences boundary between the solvent phase and the solution phase will be formed as represented in below figure. As centrifugation proceeds, this boundary between the solvent and solution phase slowly recedes away from the axis of rotation, and by carefully following its displacement with respect to time, the sedimentation velocity can be computed. Usually, the movement of the boundary is monitored by taking photographs or by ultraviolet detection at suitable intervals of time. The rate at which the boundary moves is the sedimentation velocity u. It can be calculated using the equation. Equation is this: sedimentation velocity u. So u is equal to x2 minus x1 upon t2 minus t1, where x1 and x2 are the distance of the boundary from the axis of rotation at time t1 and t2 respectively. In figure, the sedimentation coefficient S is related to the sedimentation velocity by the equation. Here you see that axis of rotation is this. This is rotation side is this. And here time t2. Here is t0, t1, t2 and t3. This is the time, and this is the distance of the boundary. Distance of the boundary is x1, x2 and x3. Distance of the boundary from the axis. Here is the solution cell and this is the solution. This is the solution, this is the boundary and this is the solvent. This is the solution, this is the solvent, and here is the boundary. Boundary is this. This is the solvent. This is the solute and this is the x1. X1 are distance to boundary from the axis rotation at t1. T1 is x1, t2 is x2 and t3 is x3. Here is t1, solvent is here. But in x2, t2 on time t2, the distance of boundary x2 is enlarged to that and boundary shifted towards solution. And time t3, the distance of boundary is shifted to solution more than x2 distance. Then equation of sedimentation constant S is equals to u upon omega square into 2 upon x1 plus x2, where omega is the angular velocity. The sedimentation constant S0 used in equation above can be computed by extrapolating S values for the different concentrations to zero concentration according to the equation. Equation is this: 1 upon S is equals to 1 upon S0 plus K2C, K3C. The diffusion coefficient D can be similarly calculated by measuring the concentration gradient at different time using the refractive index as a measure of concentration. Diffusion coefficient are measured as extrapolated to zero concentrations to obtain D0 diffusion constant as per the equation. D is equals to D0 KDC, and Ks and Kd operating equations constant are given polymer solvent system. Now we discuss sedimentation equilibrium method. In this method, a thermodynamic equilibrium is achieved by practically equalizing the sedimentation and diffusion velocity. For attaining the equilibrium state, the ultracentrifuge has to be spun at lower rate for a longer period. Usually, the experiment takes several days to reach the equilibrium state. During this period, the centrifuge spin is kept around 15,000 revolutions per minute. This is the figure shows that distribution of polymer molecule at various distance from axis of rotation under influence the equilibrium centrifugal force. This is the axis of the rotation. This is the x1, x2 and x3. This is the CA, CB and CC. RPM, round per minute. Under the centrifugal force, an equilibrium concentration gradient is established along the cell. The macromolecules get distribute according to their molecular weight in shown figure. At equilibrium, the molecular tendency to diffuse into the less concentrated zone, this is the towards the axis of rotation, is balanced by the opposing tendency of polymer molecule to sediment. Thus, at this state, the sedimentation of the diffusion balanced out and the molecular weight is given by the equation. In this equation, the molecular weight obtained in the weight average molecular weight m bar W, and hence Ca and Cb represent the concentrations value in the cell at distance x1 and x2. Form of axis is rotation. For a polydispersed polymer system, x1 and x2 would represent point to the meniscus and bottom of the cell respectively. This is the ultracentrifugation force. Ultracentrifugation. Next topic is our light scattering. Light scattering, it happens many aesthetic phenomena of nature such as the rainbow, color put down to dusk, the blue of the sky and the sea are in one way or another connected to a phenomena called scattering of light, which occur when light beam encounters matter. The light scattering phenomena is used to measure the weight average molecular weight m bar of polymer. This is possible because not only a suspended particulate matter can scatter a light beam, but even solute molecule is in a solution can do so. In fact, it has been recognized that in solution and liquid mixture, scattering of light occurs due to the change in density or refractive index within the system arising from the compositional variation. In all light scattering phenomena, the amplitude of the scattering is found to be a proportional to the mass m of the particular which scattering light of beam of light. However, in practice, it is a intensity of the scattered light that is experimentally determined and which, as we know, in square of the amplitude. Debye in 1944 arrived at expression in given equation to related the molecular weight of the solid particles to the intensive scattered light. This equation is known as the Debye equation and hold good only for the particles which are similar than wavelength. This is the Kc upon R 90 is equals to Hc upon tau is equals to 1 upon m and plus 2 Bc is the second virtual coefficient, where B is the second virial coefficient, C is the concentration of the solution, and R90 is what called the relief ratio at 90-degree observation angle. This ratio is a generalized case of the represented of R theta. In next equation, R theta is equals to R 90-degree. So this is R theta is equals to I theta R square upon I0V, where I theta is the intensity I theta. I theta is the intensity of the scattered light per unit ring material which is observed at distance r and an angle of theta with reference the incident beam of I0 of the intensity of the incident beam. Now coming back on equation, above equation, tau is the turbidity of the medium which is result from the scattering of light. Let us now see in what way this quantity is related to the intensity of the incident light while passing through thickness x of the medium. If the intensity of the incident beam is reduced from I0 to I, then the turbidity of the medium is given by the following equation: I upon I0 is equals to E minus tau x. K and H in above equation are light scattering calibration constant, and now from both equation, above both equation is K is equals to 2 pi square n square dn upon dc whole square upon lambda for Na, where pi is the mathematical symbol with numerical value of 3.14 n and refractive index of the solution, dn upon dc of the specific refractive index increment, that is the change of the refractive index with concentrations lambda, wavelength of the incident light, and Na Avogadro's number. Similarly, H has is given by H is equals to 32 pi cube n square dn upon dc square upon 3 lambda for Na. It should be noted that polymer solution in which the solute molecule are larger size compared to the wavelength of light. In case of polymer solutions, the polymer molecules are in the form of randomly coiled swollen chain and diffraction region of the macromolecular coil simultaneously scatter the incident light beam, thus different region. Here is the I0 and here is the I theta, and this is the theta is the angle and position of A and B. This is the polymer molecule. Thus, a different region of the same particle get expressed incident light having different phase. The ultimate result is that the scattered beam consisting of light waves emerging from different region of the same particle interface with one another, and hence the intensity of scattered light dimensional diminishes which when observed at an angle theta. In other words, we can say that value of r theta varies with theta. dy showed that under condition of above equation are get modified. Kc upon r theta is equals to hc upon tau 1 upon m bar w p theta plus 2 bc, where p theta is the particle scattering factor describing the angular depending on the scattered light according to the relationship 1 upon p theta is equals to 1 plus 16 pi square upon 3 lambda square s square bar sine square theta upon 2, where psi s square bar is the mean square radius of gyration of the polymer random coil. The substitute this value p theta in above equation, we get that kc upon r theta is equals to hc upon tau is equals to 1 upon m bar w plus 16 pi square 3 lambda square m bar w s square bar sine square theta upon 2 plus 2 bc. P theta can be considered as a correction factor to the scattered intensity at different values of theta, such as the p theta is equals to 1 at theta is equals to 0. Similarly, bc is equals to 0 and c is equals to 0. Now these equations can convert in this kc upon r theta 1 c raised to 0 and 1 upon m bar w plus 16 pi square 3 lambda square m bar w s square sine square theta upon 2, and kc upon r theta theta is raised to 0 1 upon m w plus 2 bc, and kc upon r theta c theta raised to 0 1 upon m bar w. There are two methods, namely the Debye method and the Jim method, by which can make use of the various aforementioned equation is determine the molecular weight of the polymer. The Debye method, which involves the determination of the particle scattering factor p theta, needs a prior knowledge of the exact shape. A typical Jim plot, here is x and y axis, x axis having sine square theta upon 2 plus 5000 c and c upon r theta. Okay students, today's topic ultracentrifugation has been completed. Now some topics remaining in this chapter, only molecular weight distribution curve and physical testing. Physical testing is approximate is important for you, so we discuss on physical testing. The important of method measuring the physical properties of the polymer are as the follow. Tensile strength. What is the physical test of polymer? Tensile strength. This is the force development when the polymer simple is elongated of the constant rate of the extension. Tensile strength determines the stress chain curve for any plastic material. This curve defines various useful mechanical quantities such as the modulus or stiffness, the slope and curve, yield stress, ultimate strength, and the elongation at break. This is the stress and this is the strain. Here is the stress and strain, both are increased. After some time stress will be constant, and after some time it will be decreased, and after some time gradually increase strain and strength. This is the elongation at break. A generalized stress chain curve plastic material is shown in above figure. The tensile strength generally measured at rates of strain of 100 to 100% per minute. At higher rates of strain, that is the 10.6% per minute, tensile strength and modules increase several fold while elongation decreases. Fatigue. Most of the material fat at the stress and cause rupture in a single stress cycle when the cycle mechanical stress are applied on them. Such phenomena is called fatigue. where a material which is not perfectly elastic absorbs heat energy, its temperature may rise and causes rapid fatigue failure. Various modes of fatigue testing are in use, such as alternating tensile compressive stress and cyclic flexural stress. The result of fatigue testing are reported by plotting a graph between stress versus number of cycles of fall. Impact Impact strength of polymer is generally measured by tests in which a pendulum hit the specimen with a strong striking edge. After breaking the specimen, the energy required to break the specimen can be calculated. The breaking of rupture is polymer specimen may be divided into two classes: brittle and ductile. Rear resistance is packaging purpose. Plastics are used in forms of films. Their resistance in tearing is an important property. Hardness and abrasion resistance also. Okay, students, today's topic has been completed. I will send to all PDF notes of this chapter of this unit on our WhatsApp group. So you complete your notes and learn for exam MGS University. Today's has been polymer science unit has been completed in paper 7th B MSc final inorganic special. So students, you like, share and subscribe my YouTube channel R Chemistry class for next lecture and next unit of polymer we discuss in next time. Okay, thank you so much.